Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Jake V. That's me. I'm a Twitch streamer and I decided to start a podcast. So, this is episode one, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So, basically, I've been streaming on Twitch for about 6 months now. I haven't hit affiliate yet, but I'm having a really good time, and I feel like if streaming is something that you're thinking about doing, I would suggest to try it and see if you enjoy it. Um, so basically, the plans for this podcast going forward are to keep it centered around video games, Twitch streaming. We'll probably have some music related podcasts as well as some outside the box podcasts. Like we'll talk about space. There's what I have a buddy that I'm planning on hopefully interviewing once he gets a headset. I'm going to interview him about space. So that should be a good episode for you guys. But yeah, mainly it's going to be a gaming related podcast. So if that's something you're interested in, I would say to like and subscribe for future content. Now, this will probably be my shortest podcast simply because it's more of a general introduction where I wanted to talk to you guys about who I am and what my plans are going forward. Now, um, the reason I started this podcast is because I want to give you guys entertainment. I want to give you guys education. So I want to put this content out there for you guys. So we're going to be mainly talking about, like I said, video games. So we could go ahead and discuss some of that today. So as far as games are concerned, obviously there are many genres. Many games that people enjoy, but a game in particular that I'm looking forward to is Light No Fire. This was made by the same people that made No Man's Sky. I feel like it's going to be a great game. I feel like anybody that's into No Man's Sky will really enjoy Light No Fire. If you haven't heard of that game, I would suggest to watch a video on it and see if you enjoy it. Basically, the premise is it's like No Man's Sky, only it's based on one world that's to scale. So it'll be a very large world that you can explore and build on, and there'll be RPG elements. And so that's one game in particular that I'm looking forward to. Now in the future, we're also going to talk about things like consoles and this console versus that console. If there's any major differences, we'll talk about the console wars, so to speak, in future podcasts. So if you're interested in things like that, I would say to subscribe. This is going to be my shortest podcast because basically it's just a general introduction. So this podcast may run 10 minutes. We'll see. So basically, my future plans are to give you guys content that is concentrated around specific things. So, like, we'll do a podcast about video game reviews or games that are coming out that we're excited about. And if I can find some very educated people, I'll do some podcast about specifications and like why one console is better than another. And in my opinion, all the consoles are generally the same. They all play video games and YouTube, Netflix, things of that nature. So really it's more of a matter of personal preference, I feel like, when it comes to consoles. But that's just my personal opinion. Obviously there are different specifications for every console. But yeah, guys. So like I was saying, this is my first podcast. I'm excited to get the journey started with you guys. I hope that this will be a good podcast for people to listen to. I'm hoping to give you guys some great content in the future around mainly video games. But like I said, if I haven't said this already, we will be also doing content around music and outside the box concepts like I guess space isn't really outside of the box, but that it's outside of the box of what this podcast is mainly about. So if you are into video games or Twitch streaming, I would say to like and subscribe because there are going to be many future podcasts of this same nature for you guys to enjoy. So we'll talk about at least one topic today for you guys. So today's topic is going to be video game related. This is off the top of my head because I didn't have a plan for what I was going to do outside of a general introduction. So let's talk about. We'll go ahead and talk about console wars. So basically, and we'll go more into depth in the future. But basically, my opinion on console wars is that it's really a matter of everybody saying, "Oh, my color red is better than your color red," because consoles are not so much different when it comes to video games. I mean, Xbox can play everything that PlayStation can play. The only difference is there are exclusives. And I feel like in the future, this is going to be a thing of the past, exclusives, because I feel like moving forward, the consoles are going to be more seamless when it comes to video games being released. I think that exclusives really drive that tension because it makes gamers be like, oh, well, my console has this, and your console doesn't, and so that creates this, oh, my console's better than yours kind of atmosphere, when in reality it's just the gaming companies deciding to be exclusive to one platform, or the yeah the people that own the game or the console are choosing to have it exclusive to their console. And it's not a matter of, oh, Xbox can't play a PlayStation game. And me personally, I have owned PlayStations and Xboxes, and the differences aren't that major, really. I mean, the graphics are great on both, and this isn't taking into consideration PC. That's a whole other topic, of PC versus Xbox versus PlayStation. But at the end of the day, I feel like the console wars, so to speak, will eventually become a thing of the past once the exclusivity goes away and the games start being released um, to a broader audience. And so, like, PlayStation is more guilty of this than Xbox. I feel like they will have like a lot of exclusives. But I feel like PlayStation is coming around to the idea of releasing their games on Xbox and vice versa, and so that's going to create less animosity between the player base. I know that that animosity can bleed over into the video games themselves, like on Apex, where it shows the icon at the bottom left. A lot of times in the past, people would have animosity towards one another because of what console they were on. So maybe like a PlayStation player wouldn't res an Xbox player, or vice versa, or like they're like, "Oh, you're on this console, you suck." And obviously that's not the case. Just because you're on a certain console doesn't mean you're any better or worse of a player. You're just on a different console. And so I would say that moving forward, the animosity will lessen. I think that eventually the gaming community will come together and realize that we're all just playing games, we're all just having a good time. But the major driving factor in that, I feel like, is going to be the lessening of exclusivity. Once they stop being exclusive to platforms, once the games stop being platform exclusive, the animosity will probably drift away because people will forget what that there was even animosity to begin with. Because the main thing that I think that's driving that is like, oh, they can say, oh, my system has this and your system doesn't, but once they can't say that anymore, there won't be anything really making them feel like their system is superior in any way. Um, so yeah, that's about it on that topic for now. We'll go more in depth on that topic in a future podcast. But yeah, this podcast is about the length that I wanted to make my first one. I wanted to keep it short and sweet for you guys. I wanted to give you guys a general introduction. Like I was saying, I'm Jake V. That's me. This is the first episode of my podcast, and if you enjoyed this podcast, I would say to like and subscribe. There will be more future content to come. As also, I would say there's a lot of content already on my YouTube. There are some how-to videos, some tutorials, as well as some entertainment type of content. There are a lot of shorts on my YouTube currently, and there are some longer form content, all based around Wild RP, which is Red Dead Redemption roleplay. So if you're into roleplay or Red Dead Redemption 2, I would say to give that content a look over and see if you enjoy any of that. But my plans is going forward as far as this podcast is concerned. I plan on making either weekly or bi-weekly podcast for you guys. We'll try to keep it around the same concept every podcast, but a different angle on that concept. So like video games are going to be the majority of my podcast, but we'll talk about different things about video games each time. Like one will be a console wars podcast, and we'll do a review podcast, a future games podcast. And but like I said, we're also going to talk about things like music, space. We can talk about pop culture, current events. So like I'm gonna be talking about other things. So if you're somebody that's into like just a general podcast, this is also a good podcast for you to follow. Also, you won't be able to find this content on any other platform. It's going to be specific to YouTube for now. I'm just going to be putting out my podcast on YouTube. So definitely like and subscribe if you are somebody that's into podcast. I will be putting out some content, hopefully a pretty high clip for you guys. But to finish off, I just want to say this is mainly going to be a gaming podcast, a Twitch streaming and gaming podcast, or maybe not just Twitch streaming, like streaming in general. So those are going to be some of the main concepts, but there will be other concepts that we delve into. And lastly, guys, I would just say once again that I am Jake V. That's me. If you guys want to hang out in the future when I'm not, what I'm trying to say is like if you want to hang out in the future, you can come hang out at my Twitch stream where I'll be live Wednesday through Saturday at 7 p.m. and on at 2 p.m. on Saturdays, but it's at 7 p.m. from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So if you guys want to come hang out, you're welcome to. And hopefully I will see you guys there. But if you're just into podcasts, like I said, just like and subscribe, or at least just subscribe so that you can stay notified on the next podcast. I'm not sure exactly what topic we're going to discuss in the next podcast, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, guys, that's about it for my first podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later, guys.